Swastiastu. Hello, my name is Putunina Angriani. I am from 5B class English education. Today, I will present about the project. And the topic number 1 is implicature. Implicature is a term coined by Happy Grudge in the pragmatic branch of linguistics to refer to what is implied in utterance even if the utterance is neither explicit nor implied. Implicature is something suggested or implied by the speaker in a statement. Inference can use communicate more effectively can directly saying whether it is we want to communicate. Philosopher Happy Grudge coined distinguish between conversation implicatures which arise because speakers are expected to modify general rules of conversations and conventional implicatures which are associated with specific words such as about or therefore. For example, the sentence Dina had a baby and got married strongly suggests that Mary had a baby before the wedding, but in words still be appropriate if Mary had a baby after marriage. Is also adding the not necessary in the other. Considering to the original sentence does not change the meaning of the original sentence but removes the implications. Implication replaces and has additional meaning in logical and colloquialism. And the next about maxim of quality. Maxim quality deals with his two parts. Abiding by the maxim of quality means not telling a lie on purpose. And next about maxim of quantity. The maximum mode deal with roughly how much information and utterance conveys. And the next about maxim of relations. The maxim is very simple, relevant. The point of this maxim is that it is not enough for a statement to be true in order to make an acceptable contribution to the conversations. And the next about maxim of manner. The maxim of manner mainly refer to the choice of words you use. For example, when following this maxim, we should avoid using big or overly complex words that we know our listeners won't understand and should try our best to be concise and coherent. When abiding by the maxim of manner, you should avoid obscurity or ambiguity, be brief and orderly, try and be as clear as possible. And the next about conventional implicatures. Part a lexical item or expressions agreed meaning rather than derived from principle of language use, and not part of condition for the truth of the item or expression. Paul Grit identified three types of common conversation implications. Conventional implicature have becomes on the principal subject of pragmatics and important conceptual and methodology. All issue in semantic is how to distinguish sense and entailment from generalized conversational implicatures. A relate issue in the degree which two sentence meaning determines what is a historical linguistic triggers the evolution of conversational implicatures into idioms. And the next about scalar implicature according to Grice. Another form of computational implicatures is also known as a scalar implicatures. This concern the conventional use of words like uh, all or some in conventional. I ate some of the pie. This sentence implies I did not eat all of the pie, while the statement I ate some pie is still true if the entire pie was eaten. The conventional meaning of the word some and the implicature general by the statement is not all. A scalar implicator is an entanglement that ascribes implicative meaning beyond the implicit or literal meaning of an utterance, suggesting that the speaker had reasons not to use more informative or powerful term on the same scale. Dying choosing weaker trait implied that to the speaker's knowledge none of the stronger traits in the scale apply. This is often illustrated by using some to imply not all but some logically correspond to all. When Bill says I have some of my money in cash, the utterance suggests to the listener that Bill does not have all of his money in cash. Although the utterance the paraphrase used does not imply this logically. Scalar entailment usually occurs when the speaker modifies or scalars a statement in language that convey to the listener an conclusion or implication that indicates there is like a reason not to use a stronger, more informative term. For example, if a speaker uses the term some in the sentence, some student can afford a new car. Using some means all students can afford a new car. It leads to the conclusion or implication that is cannot be persuaded. And the next about conventional implicator. Conventional implicator is independent of the comparative principle and it is for maxims. A statement always carried these conventional implicators. Donovan is poor but happy. This sentence implies poverty and happiness are not compatible, but in spite of this, Donovan is still happy. The conventional interpretation of the word but will always create the implicator of a sense of contrast. So Donovan is poor but happy will always necessarily imply surprisingly Donovan is happy in spite of being poor. And the next about implicators entertainment. This can be constructed with case of entanglement. The statement the president was assassinated, for example, not only suggested that the president is dead is true but require this to be so. The first sentence could not be true if the second were not true. If the president were not dead, the whether it is that happened to him would not have counted as successful. As assassination, similarly, unlike implicature, entailment cannot be concealed. There is not qualification that one could add to the president was assassinated, which would cause it to cease entailing the president is dead, while also preserving the meaning of the first sentence. It is always common to hear people argue over what is meant and what is implied. This means that there could be difference between what a speaker says and how how the listener interprets. It's however success in communications depends on how well the meaning intended by the speaker and the implicatures of the listener converge. This is usually possible when participants in communication obey principle of conversational implication. Okay, that's all about my presentation, and I close with Paramasanti. Om Santi 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 Om.